Welcome to World Bulletin. Today, the Supreme Court has upended the legal foundation of the Trump-era tariff strategy, sending shockwaves through Washington and global markets. The court struck down the broad use of Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, which had become the main weapon in the recent global trade war. This isn't just a minor legal tweak, it's a major rebalancing of power between Congress and the President over international trade. The case, American Institute for International Steel v. United States, was brought by steel importers who argued the tariffs were protectionist and hurt the U.S. economy. They claimed Congress gave the president too much unchecked authority, leading to arbitrary and damaging trade policies. The Supreme Court's decision is a win for free trade advocates and a blow to economic nationalists. The ruling reasserts Congress's constitutional authority to regulate foreign commerce, a power many felt was eroding. The implications are vast, affecting everything from car prices to global economic stability. The era of unilateral trade warfare by executive decree has come to a judicially enforced end. To grasp today's ruling, let's revisit Section 232's origins. The Trump administration revived this Cold War law, originally meant for emergencies, to justify sweeping tariffs on steel and aluminum. Unlike its limited past use, Trump's team declared imports from allies like Canada and the EU as national security threats. Critics saw this as economic protectionism, not genuine security. The tariffs triggered fierce retaliation. Europe targeted U.S. goods, China responded in kind, and a trade war erupted. Supply chains were disrupted, costs soared, and diplomatic ties frayed. The heart of the legal battle: could national security mean anything, giving the president a blank check for tariffs? Critics argued this was an unconstitutional delegation of Congress's power. This set the stage for the Supreme Court showdown. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, didn't kill Section 232, but sharply limited its use. The majority ruled national security can't be a catch-all for economic protectionism. Congress intended Section 232 for real specific threats to military preparedness, not as a tool to reshape global trade. The court now requires any future tariffs under this law to be backed by clear, credible evidence of a direct threat to national defense. The Commerce Department must follow stricter, more transparent procedures. Federal courts can now more easily block tariffs with weak or pretextual security claims. This decision checks executive overreach and restores balance between the branches. The dissent warned this could tie the president's hands in complex situations, but the majority's view prevailed. At the heart of the case were two constitutional pillars: the non-delegation doctrine and separation of powers. Plaintiffs argued that letting the president define national security without limits erased Congress's power over trade. They warned unchecked executive discretion could lead to absurd outcomes and undermine democracy. The government countered that national security decisions require executive expertise and that Congress could always act to rein in the president. Ultimately, the court sided with the plaintiffs, affirming the judiciary's role in policing the boundaries between branches, especially when core legislative powers are at stake. The ruling reasserts that Congress, not the president, holds the keys to trade policy. The era of the imperial presidency in trade has been curtailed. The ruling sparked fierce debate in Washington. Free trade Republicans and most Democrats praised the decision as restoring constitutional order and protecting consumers. The Senate Majority Leader called it a necessary correction, while critics of the tariffs expressed relief that the courts intervened. Economic nationalists, including Trump, condemned the ruling as weakening America's ability to fight unfair trade. Some lawmakers vowed to push for new legislation to restore broad presidential tariff powers. Business groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and agricultural organizations celebrated the end of tariff uncertainty. Steelworkers and domestic manufacturers, however, warned of renewed threats from cheap imports and potential job losses. The decision highlighted the reality that trade policy always creates winners and losers. Markets cheered the Supreme Court's decision. Stocks surged, especially for companies reliant on steel and aluminum. Investors welcomed the end of trade war volatility and the promise of lower raw material costs. For consumers, prices on goods from cars to canned food are expected to fall as tariffs disappear. Businesses gain certainty, making it easier to plan, invest, and hire. The ruling removes a major source of economic unpredictability. However, U.S. steel and aluminum producers now face stiffer competition and possible job losses. The government will likely face pressure to support affected workers and communities. The benefits of free trade are broad, but the pain is often concentrated. The Supreme Court's decision sent ripples worldwide. U.S. allies welcomed the move as a return to rules-based trade and a chance to repair strained relationships. The ruling repudiates America First unilateralism and strengthens the hand of those seeking multilateral cooperation. For China, the impact is indirect, but the message is clear. The U.S. is moving toward more predictable, lawful trade policy. The decision discourages other countries from abusing national security claims for protectionism. It reinforces that trade disputes should be resolved through negotiation and legal frameworks, not executive fiat. The world economy steps back from the brink of chaos. Many hope this marks the start of a more stable era for global trade.